The date is finally upon us. Almost, anyway. In just a few hours, 114 finalists will be taking part in our Spelling Bee finals. Now, this comes off on Saturday, February 5th, which is tomorrow. From 12 cities across the country, these young, bright spellers will converge and they'll start their journey towards finding out who's going to be the champion. Now, this is going to be Saturday, 1 p.m., okay, starting at 1 p.m. On City TV, we'll be showing this. You can watch it either on City TV or DSTV channel 363. Okay, now 500 kids went through to the preliminaries, quarterfinals, and the semifinals. So these finalists, 114 of them, have come quite a long way. And we're all excited to see them and to see who becomes the new Spelling Bee champion. But who better to talk us through all of this than the Spelling Madame herself and the judge of all judges himself, okay? So let's say a very good morning to Eugenia Tachie-Mensah. Yes, I just call her Mama Speller. I mean, she's like the spelling mother of Ghana. And Niteko Evans Anfom, who has been a judge from the beginning, right?
I missed the first one, but
so
apart from that, 14 years and counting.
You're such a familiar face. I mean, anytime we switch on and see the bee, we know that we're going to see you there. And I think it's a comforting presence because people know that things will be done right.
Well, not all the children think so. I'm the one who rings the bell.
You're the one who rings the bell. Anyway, good morning and welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
15 bees.
Yeah.
And counting.
Mm-hmm.
Eugenia,
yeah.
You've been doing this. I mean, the dedication that you've put into pulling this off every single year is so commendable.
Thank you.
Talk to us about what the first year was like compared to what the situation is now with the bee.
The first year was surreal. I remember everyone asking, especially the first 30 spellers we got, who kept asking, oh, do you mean this is the spelling bee like we saw in Aquila and the Bee? Because Aquila and the Bee had just come out, I think, 2 years before. So this was in 2008. And I said, yes. And, you know, they all looked at me like, really? Are you
Ghana,
sure?
are you going to do this?
You know, and it was the same thing we got from everybody I approached. I think the only person or the only groups of persons who believed what I was saying. So one person, Mrs. Nancy Keteku, who believed it, and so she's been our pronouncer since then, and some of the children. Aside of that, everybody kind of thought, let's see you finish this and then we'll see what happens. Also, it was a smaller group, you know, and I was technically by myself. I didn't have this army that I have today. Including, I didn't have Niteko back then, but I had stand-ins and they did an awesome job. I remember my class 4 teacher was the other pronouncer, Mrs. Francesca Demola. Brigitte Jobonuku was a judge, Kweku Sechiado was a judge as well. So just plucked everybody I could find at the time. It was, and we made a lot of mistakes that we learned from, and that's why we've been able to. If we compare that to this year, it pales in significance.
I'm sure. Now, you've done really well to include children with special needs. I mean, you've got the Ekropong School for the Deaf, Teto Oklu State School for the Deaf as well. Yeah. How do you manage that for children who are hearing impaired to be able to take part in a bee that relies heavily on being able to hear sound, the words and sound and all of that?
Yeah. So this was a policy that we adopted, I think, by the 5th year of a spelling bee. I had just, you know, I had met visually impaired or blind students who seemed very interested in what we were doing, because, you know, when you are impaired in one of our 5 senses, all the other senses are heightened. And so, you know, they tend to work with sound, and so we just came up with what they already had, which was the Braille system. The only challenge, I mean, we worked with them for about 3 years, but the major challenge we had was that the Braille Center wasn't well resourced. And so beyond a certain point, it was not in their favor that they were still in the competition. And so we had to come to an agreement that we will wait and see if it gets better in terms of the resources. And whilst we were having that conversation, we chanced upon the Teto Oklu State School for the Deaf in Ajay Kojo. And again, I think it's my thing for children. When I see children, I don't see anything else. I just, you know, I don't see whatever quote unquote disability that people talk about. I just see, you know, they are children. They need to be given the same opportunities as the other children. And so We engage the authorities, and this will be our third year working with them now with deaf students or students in particular. It is a challenge.
Okay.
It's a major challenge because, as you say, the program is predominantly oral.
Yes.
So even if you're a lip reader, there are some words that you may not, there are silent letters in there, you know. But what we've been able to do is, it's really been a learning curve for us. So we've had to also learn how they communicate, because not every single word in the dictionary is in sign language. So we've got to learn to adjust to accepting synonyms, closest in meaning, for example.
Are there hearing impaired or, let's say, different ability children at the Scripps Spelling Bee?
We've met the one in our 14 years, but they had a hearing aid.
Okay.
So that didn't, that helped. But
so what you're doing here is pretty.
It's pretty novel. Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And we're so certain that Scripps is going to cotton on to it, because what we're doing this year, what we realized was that, as I said, normally when I've noticed it for children, I can't speak for adults. When the child is deficient, seemingly in one sense, all the other senses are heightened. So we realized that they're very good readers, and so for our deaf students this year, we're going to, instead of telling, you know how we do it, we normally will, we give you your word may be kokui, and then you give all the information, and then they have to figure it out mentally. With our deaf students this year, we're going to put everything on a screen for them to read. So these are some of the things we learned when we were working with them. We realized that their strength is more in reading, in seeing the letters. So we're not going to show them the word. We're going to show them the word information.
Then they have to figure out
what the word is. It is going to be very interesting.
Okay, let's talk to our head judge, Niteko. Good morning.
Good morning,
and welcome.
Thank you.
Head judge, that makes little children quiver. You know, it's so cute sometimes seeing the kids. Some of them walk up to the microphone and you can tell how nervous they are. And I always think, but you're so brave to even make it up to the mic, you know? And I'm sure when they see you sometimes, they're wondering, oh gosh, I just don't want to hear that bell sound, the dreaded bell. What goes into your role as a head judge, you know, aside that bell?
Well, I guess you could say I'm somewhat like the Speaker of Parliament. You know, I preside over the whole process, as it were. And ultimately, you want to make sure that the children get a fair shake, you know, right from the speller being able to pronounce the word back to the to the officials correctly. You know, so you need to make sure that that is done, because if they pronounce the word wrong, the chances are that they will spell it wrong. See?
Which means that even you need to be very familiar with the word selections and all of that.
So we go through a whole process of training, you know, the word roots and everything the children go through, the officials go through. You can't preside over something if you don't know the rules. So talking about rules, you know, the children are briefed as to the correct procedure to follow. And my main job is to make sure that the protocols, as it were, are adhered to, in terms of when you make a mistake, you can go back and start spelling, but you can't change any of the letters in the order that you've already started. You know, I keep the time, and then adjudicate over little instances, because there are parents and teachers who may think that, oh, the pronouncer didn't get it quite right.
How do you deal with that? You know, yes, parents, we're passionate about our children, but some parents get pretty irate when they feel their child didn't have, like you said, a fair shake, or the pronouncer didn't pronounce that word properly, or, you know, how do you deal with parents like that?
Well, the indignation has to be based on something, and you must have your facts correct. One of the years we actually had headphones, you know, which cut out all the noise, apart from what the speller was saying. So it's easy to go back and listen to the recording and cross-check with the recorders. You see, in the highly unlikely chance that the recorders have recorded differently, then you listen to the recording and they say the judge's ruling is final. You know. And on the whole, we found that most parents tend to be appreciative of the pressures under which we are. And unless something is really glaring, you know, we've had occasion where we as judges, need to explain our decision to the parents, because some spellers, because of cultural backgrounds and so on, may spell things a little differently. They'll pronounce V as W and so on. So you need to be sensitive to those things as well. But I've noticed that when most children are spelling, they end up watching my finger.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're waiting to see whether it's going to descend onto
so
the top of that bell.
You either sit on your hands or try and keep you up. And sometimes it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because you know the child knows the word, but either stage fright or sometimes overconfidence, they make a mistake and they know they've made a mistake, but there's nothing they can do about it.
But you do mention confidence, and I think that the Spelling Bee is a wonderful platform for children to actually boost their confidence. I mean, you have to stand in front of a lot of people, speak publicly. You know, it's. I think you've given a lot of children that opportunity to come out of their shell. You know, and that's I think another.
Yes. I think that we have over the years gradually shown both adults and children that it's okay to ask questions, because our biggest challenge in the beginning was that our children will not ask questions, and then the competition is, or the program is built such that the child is the one to ask the question. So the onus is on the child. So if we said your word is C and you don't ask any question, we also cannot say anything, and then you go ahead and say S-E-E, and we go, oh no, we actually meant C-E-S-E-A, the water
beach.
one, yes. And then you know, and in that, so in the beginning you get, but how are we supposed to know? And this is where we said that is why you were meant to ask a question. So the training that again, sometimes as you were asking, when parents are come across as upset and there tends to be an underlying message, which normally is a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, which we will let reflect either in how we train or how we communicate. Okay. So that both, so 9 out of 10 times a child knows what they're getting into. It's the parents who tend not to understand. It's the parents who wins when the bell goes, even though the child is watching for Nita Eko's finger. It's the parents who go, no, they go, or the classic one is when maybe the word has been given C. And then the parents on their phones, you know, quickly find and say, okay, I know the spelling. Then the child starts S. No, C is a homophone. Let me use a word that doesn't have it. So maybe breakfast, you know. So the parent has Googled and knows what breakfast is. Yes. And so it's just waiting. And the child goes B-R-A-Y. Just reflex, you know. It's reflex, and immediately that happens, obviously, it disrupts the child. Disrupts. They just lose their concentration. Lose their focus. And I think that what this program is also trying to teach our children is that even when you're making a mistake, you know, as I say to them, make it confidently. So we are all certain that, including yourself, you've made a mistake and we are going to learn from it. So you may have known the word, but why did I get it wrong? And that's why they keep coming back for those who are eligible.
Yeah, some of them, I mean, have done it a couple of times and they end up winning.
More than a couple of times. I mean, we get feedback from the schools and the parents, you know, especially from those who may have tried once and didn't go that far. You know, as to how the child's self-confidence has improved, the way they express themselves, you know, everything all points to them having picked it up from their association with the spelling bee. Fantastic. And sometimes you have to strike a balance between the child having some family support and the parents being a distraction. So we've had to separate them occasionally, you know, and as Eugenia says, we always learn as we go along. I'm sure on the 20th anniversary there will be some things we will do which we haven't done now.
15. And you've done so well to manage all of it through COVID as well. I mean, I've witnessed it, trying to coordinate, like you said, having enough social distancing, the kids in their masks, the parents off to one side somewhere, just so that everything could run smoothly and still keep it going, and even having virtual sessions as well. So kudos to you on that. Okay, now tomorrow, the final. It's a big day. What's the program going to look like?
So so we're excited. I mean, the big news is that the First Lady of Ghana, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, will be joining us. So that's a real big deal. We also have Her Excellency Ambassador Sullivan, U.S. Ambassador to Ghana. And then we have Deputy Minister for Education also joining us. So, and all these three are educators themselves, all passionate about education. So we're in good company.
Great.
Nitek, do you want to tell them about the news?
Yes, the other exciting thing is that, you know, most of the children get really enthused or motivated by the fact that if they win, they're going to the US to represent the country at Scripps Spelling Bee. And the prize has, up to now, only been for one.
Yes.
But now we have the license, as it were, to add 2 more spellers.
What? We're going to have 3 going to the National Scripps Spelling Bee in the US.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fantastic news.
One would expect that
congratulations.
usually it would be the first and second runners-up, but that is not necessarily the case. It may end up being them. But we've put into place the criteria by which we look at your all-round performance, your vocabulary and other things, which are which form part of the preparatory process before the national finals.
So you could be an excellent speller, and maybe on the day tomorrow you have a little glitch. But that might not preclude you from being included in the 3. Because, like you said, your performance throughout the competition will be taken into account.
So we call them all yellow bees.
Yellow bees. So it's called the yellow bee. So it's the yellow bee.
This is the queen of the yellow bees.
I mean, obviously, she's got the colors. She's got the colors right.
You know. So basically, it's the Yellow Bee Award, and what is going to happen is, as Nita said, so it's not just their performance in the competition, it's actually their performance over the year. So throughout the year, we've been having sessions. They should have turned up for training, they should have done their homework, they should have scored a minimum mark in their homework, in their vocabulary. So there's all this eligibility that they've got to go through. So I think, as Niteko said, it's not necessarily the first and second runners up, but it could end up being them or not. But basically, it's a method which is meant to actually reward effort. So we're looking at rewarding the effort that the other spellers are putting in, apart from the winner, and also consistency. So that you're talking about a speller who has consistently done or performed in a manner that you know they need just a bit more grooming, so that when we get to the US, now we can say that our chances in winning, or our chances at winning any of the top 3 or top 5, again, we don't know what Scripps will offer this year, but now that we have 3, we're so excited. And the Yellow Bee Award is being sponsored by 2 companies. So Goyle is sponsoring one, so it's called the Good Energy Award, and then Group Indom is also sponsoring, taking up the other. So we're very excited about this. This is our first time
to celebrate 15 years.
Yes, very nice.
This is in addition to those going to Kenya on Kenya Airways.
Yes, so the runners-up, the runners-up go to Kenya.
Oh, the kids are going to enjoy
so the runners-up actually are just going to have a party, is what it is, when we go to Kenya.
They're just going to
But the winner and the Yellow Bees get to work. I mean, after they win, they start working.
There's still work to be done.
It's a lot of work.
Let's say hello to Emmanuel Affo, who is the national coach for the Spelling Bee. Good morning, Mr. Affo.
Good morning, good people.
You're also in your Spelling Bee yellow. You've added a bit of Holy Child colors in there, the combination. So welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, good morning.
You work hard on this.
She's Dr. Pokwi.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No, but Mr. Affo, honestly, I mean, it's like there's no bee without you. You take everyone through so much training. The pronouncers, really, we can't see, but we'll take your word for it. No, but seriously, being a coach for the bee, I mean, for 15 years, I'm sure you've probably learned as much as the children and the facilitators that you train.
More than.
So what has been the biggest thing I think you've learned over the 15 years doing the bee?
Good morning, and let me say thank you for this, and maybe the proverbial apologies. Sorry, there's a building on fire just around the circle area.
Oh dear.
And 2 fire tenders are there. And the place is chaotic. Just around. So I hear the reporters there. But So,
I'm glad you made
as,
it.
as a teacher of English, and mind my words, I didn't say English teacher because I'm a Ghanaian. As a teacher of English, I think that one of the things that have actually impacted me is a spelling bee. Why? There's no way you can actually divorce spelling from a regular learning of English, right? So if there's anybody who has actually benefited immensely, it's me. And that is why I continue to do this regardless of what the situation is. Now, my job at a spelling bee is quite a challenging one, but I enjoy it because you become a better teacher of the language. And anytime or each time I hear City FM, City TV talk about things, and Kweku David is here. I mean, last time I heard Jessica and him talking about, I was pretty happy. And I thought that, okay, now I think that people are really understanding what we've been talking about in the spelling bee. Yeah. What I do is to plan a curriculum for the program because we believe that you can't just throw words at children and tell them to spell. In this, we're also telling everybody that it's okay for a child to ask questions. Yeah. Because if you told me to spell Kwashiorkor, at what point do I know how to spell, especially the first syllable? Yeah. We know that in English, Kwa is Q-U-A. But because this word is not English, you want to ask. So if you are told it's Ga, in Ga, Kwa is Q-W-A. Okay. And so that actually clears that doubt. So that anybody who spells Q-U-A will be spelling something which is non-existent. And so definitely want to look at the origin
of the word. Okay, so on that note, for the layperson watching who is not an expert speller like our children or like you or Eugenia, what are some tips you can employ to make yourself a better speller, to improve your spelling ability?
So the competition is tomorrow, and this I can give for free.
Okay.
Top tips. Definition of the word. Definition of the word, because we know English is replete with several homophones.
Yes.
So that if I'm talking about scent, is it a S-C-E-N-T? Or is it a S-E-N-T? Or is it a C-E-N-T? The definition will clearly distinguish between them. So that's one. Two, the origin of the word. You need to know where the word is coming from. Because if I gave you philately, that is P-H-I-L-A-T-E-L-Y, which basically has to do with a collection of postage stamps and other things. And I gave you, for example, philanthropist. The first syllable in these two words both sound the same.
Phil.
And so if you ask for a definition, you were told, or origin, because both of them are, one is Greek, the other is Latin. If I told you philately is Greek, it would mean because it is spelled P-H-I. But the other one is spelled differently. You understand me? Now, if you get into the definition, as I said, you look at the fact that philanthropist will contain something that has to do with love, which is actually the Greek word for philia, which means love. And so you connect on that level so that if you hear fe, the definition and origin will tell you whether to spell F-I-P-H or whatever. So that's, and then I want to talk about the parts of speech. Okay. Because we believe that, yes, words are words, but not all words are words. If I gave you advised, of course it's past. But would you do C-E-D at the end, or would you do S-E-D? Now, the fact that it's past simply means that it should be S-E-D. Then finally, I want to talk about same part of speech. If I gave you sarcophagus, well, it's Greek and Latin. And so the child may not get any help from there because, sarcophagus is spelled in two ways. If it's a noun, it ends with US, and that's a stone coffin. But if it's an adjective, then OUS, because the OUS become an adjective forming suffix. And so these are the things, these are the technical. So
this is what our children learn.
And I think that we don't even have to wait to come to the spelling bee to learn this. This is something that is at the basis of the way we teach language. I think that we are worrying the children, forcing them to study the dictionary. Okay. I've always said that it is always the last resort. There are so many ways, and if you deal with the root of the word, you are safe.
You're safe. Okay. All right, let's
Maybe,
take a,
I'm sorry.
Having said that, we
Yeah.
need to make sure that sarcophagus is not a word tomorrow.
Well, we never
Says
know.
the
you
judge.
never know.
You know,
Or if it is,
You've
and you
spelled
miss
it,
and you miss
technically.
breakfast daily, then you miss
That's
out,
it.
you know. Anyway, okay, so let's take a quick look at what the bee has been up to. Take a look at this.
Plebiscite.
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 You're ending. The ending of the word.
Okay,
Speak up.
so the word is plebiscite.
Plebiscite.
Good.
Are there any alternate pronunciations for the word plebiscite?
So there's plebiscite and there's also plebiscite. Plebiscite. Plebiscite, plebiscite, plebiscite.
Please, please may I have the definition of the word plebiscite?
A vote by which the people of an entire country or district express an opinion for or against a proposal, especially on a choice of government or ruler.
Please may I have the origin of the word plebiscite?
Latin.
Plebiscite. P L E B I S I T E. Plebiscite.
Excellent. Sorry. I'm sorry. So the correct spelling of plebiscite is Plebiscite. Plebiscite.
Speller 57. Your word is bestial.
Please, can I get the repetition of the word?
Bestial.
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 Bestial. Please, may I have the information concerning bestial?
Bestial could also be pronounced bestial, bestial, or bestial. It is Middle English and Latin to French origin. It is an adjective. It means lacking intelligence or reason. To use it in a sentence, the man could best be described as bestial, as he couldn't distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. Bestial, 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 or bestial.
Can I have the alternatives again?
So we have bestial, 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 or bestial.
Origin.
Origin, Middle English and Latin to French.
Bestial.
You have 30 seconds.
Bestial. B E S T C H E L. Bestial.
Bestial is spelled B-E-S-T-I-A-L. Bestial. Thank you. Okay.
So we move into round 10. Speller number 15. Your word is psephology.
Psephology. Please, may I have the definition of the word psephology?
The scientific study of election.
Please can you repeat that?
Psephology, or the definition.
The definition
The scientific study of election.
of election. Psephology. Please, may I have all the word information of the word psephology?
So this word is Greek, part of speech. It's a noun. In a sentence, a professor of political science is an expert in psephology as he has scientifically analyzed elections in several African countries, and it means the scientific study of elections, psephology.
Please, are there any alternate pronunciations?
I just have psephology here.
Please, may you repeat the word?
Psephology.
Psephology.
You need to start spelling. You have 30 seconds.
Psephology. S C E P L O G Y. Psephology.
The correct spelling of psephology is Psephology. Thank you.
Speller 57, your word is stochastic.
Stochastic.
Good.
May I have the information concerning stochastic?
Stochastic.
Stochastic.
Okay. It is of Greek origin. It's an adjective. It means involving a random variable, chance, or probability. In a sentence, the stochastic process originally referred to mathematics and probability, but now it is used in the sense of political events. Stochastic.
Stochastic.
Good.
Stochastic. Are there any alternative pronunciations for the word stochastic?
Stochastic.
Stochastic. Stochastic. S T O C A S T I C. Stochastic.
You were so close. Stochastic. Stochastic. All the things we were just talking about, part of speech, language of origin, use it in a sentence. You saw all of it laid bare there. And you also saw how difficult it can be to spell certain words. So give our children a round of applause for getting through the spelling bee. So those were the two left standing in that particular edition of the bee. And I remember it so clearly, thinking, hey, who's going to get the word to win this? Because they went back and forth for a while. They're both brilliant spellers, very brilliant. Now, Nakoshi was one who had done the bee before, if I'm not mistaken,
That was
right?
her third. That was her third time coming back.
Look at that.
And won. And it seems to be a trend. Three-time champions here in Ghana. They tend to win on their third attempt.
So it's also a lesson in perseverance.
Yes, definitely.
And never giving up.
Yes. But children are more resilient than us adults, and so normally when they get knocked out like that, and their parents just think, you know what, we're not doing this again, and then in months, because we're finishing this, and then the next edition starts in March. The children themselves are enrolling, and then the parents are tagging along quietly.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
But some parents have been very supportive.
Very
supportive.
Very.
And that's what makes it worthwhile. Even if their child does not win, they tend to send to the YEF detailed accounts of how their son or daughter's performance has improved. Not only academically, but socially, more confident, more outgoing. They tend to carry themselves better, speak better, and so on. So when you have the parents as your support group, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
it helps.
Yeah, it does.
Really
And
does.
I think just to add to Niseko's point, again, whilst a lot of us who sit home and watch it just see it as a competition, what you don't see is the behind the scenes. Basically we start in March and finish in February. So all these children who are going to be spelling tomorrow have started last year, March, gone through all the rigors, and we're here now. So what it does for them is beyond the academic confidence, how to speak. For me, the biggest thing about this program that excites me is the critical thinking and connecting the dots, because these are skills that are not necessarily taught. You learn it in life, you know, you get burnt and kind of thing. So you misspell and you're able to tell, oh, because I didn't do this, so next time I'm going to do that. And these are life skills that most of our children, as we know, will end up in a college or university abroad. And these are skills that are required. And even for those who want to enter typical American colleges, you will need to write an SAT. And what we teach in the spelling bee and how we teach it is the foundation of the English arm of SAT.
It's true.
So it's not child's play. Normally people tend to dismiss and say, oh, you're just giving these kids. And so especially when they're getting the words wrong, and you know, adults are saying, oh, so these simple words too, you can't spell.
Sure.
You can't spell. So it's simple to you because the lights are not on you.
Exactly.
And you're not seeing a head judge who is willing you on, but has no choice but to ring the bell. And all these officials staring at you in the face.
Exactly.
Especially in a society where we have some of these spellers who would come and tell us they've never stood on stage in school to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is their first time. So it also explains why it takes some of them 3 years to win. Because the first year is just getting over the nerves. The second year is now understanding the program. The third year is living it. So based on that, we tell parents, manage your expectations. Because the number of I am here to win, we hear, bothers us. We're like, this is not football. This is not football. This is a very thorough program that will spew you out if you're not prepared.
How many schools are you working with now with the B? Or do people come to you as individuals? Do schools embrace it? What's that like?
So it's a combination. So we have schools coming to us. But I've got to be honest that since 2020, we've rather had more parents, so individuals, come to us. And that is our preferred option because the schools give us access. But at the end of the day, it's the parent who has the final say-so. So sometimes if a school is having a program for the year, they could decide this year we're closing the gates to any other program, which will include the spelling bee. And by that, another 500, 700 children will not have access to your program. Now, if the parent knows about it, then you're opting, and so it's an opt-in program. So we love for schools to come up. There have been schools too that would bring their children year on year, regardless of what they're going through.
Do you get kids coming from a lot of the public schools?
A couple of them, and this is because of the what shall I call it, the kind of bureaucracies we have in our school system.
I get it.
So there's a head teacher system there who probably doesn't understand the value of this because the syllabus doesn't teach it, doesn't ask you to teach it. And the one who's teaching English is probably not, if you like, initiated about these things. So these are, but a few of them really come through, and they're the ones who actually perform for us to get other people. I remember there was a time we did all 10 regions.
Yes.
When Ghana
when we had 10.
Yes,
and I remember going to WA and getting the children to really perform. For me, these are the stories that make me happy because then you know that it's not a preserve for the haves, And as a teacher of English, I want to say that any child in Ghana, when given the opportunity, can match up to any child anywhere. I think we need to get this right. And this year, I think that tomorrow will be our best competition ever because we've done over 13 weeks of back-to-back training. And the kind of vibe I get from the children, it's only fair that I'll ask parents to stay back and tune into CCTV because it will be exciting.
Oh, yeah?
I want to interpret what he said in layman terms. That it was going to be an exciting competition, as in we could stay there till midnight. Because
the competition,
the children will be that good.
Spelling back to back.
They will end up beating the dictionary, and
then Nitego's finger. Your finger will just be.
I better ensure my.
You better. You need to. Need to get it.
But a couple of years ago, when we had the finals in Kumasi, we stayed till 11.
Yes.
Yes, it took us that long to find a winner. And Lady Julia Osei-Tutu and the American ambassador sat with us till the end.
Because
it gets absorbing.
Yes. And what you also don't see is we take breaks for them, because they would have been there since morning.
Yes,
Tomorrow
yes.
we're starting at 8. Some will get there as early as 7, and we'll have to stay till we're done. So we do take breaks for them, but you won't see that on camera. So all that adds to the wait time. And there are incidences that will happen, which definitely has to be a behind the scenes moment. And so all in all, it seems like a long program, but it is also so that at the end of the day, it's fair. It comes across as a fair representation of what happened on the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just give us the rundown for the details for tomorrow.
Yes.
So tomorrow we're starting what time? The broadcast? All
Yes. So tomorrow we're live on City's Facebook page from 8 in the morning. So from the morning, all the spellers will be spelling. It is after that. So that's our round 2. Round 1 is the vocabulary testing. So that's where they either do a written test or a computerized test, which accounts for about 90% or 95%, let me say. And then the round 2 spelling, where all 114 of them will spell, gives them, I think, 5 marks for each correctly spelled word, therefore 100%. And then based on that, we now strike a median. The best performing decides what the cutoff mark should be. So whether we should now cut off at, out of 75, so whether you cut off at 40, whether you cut off at 45, depending on who scores the highest. And as he said, we are seeing a lot of ties, possible ties already. So after that, then the spelling. So if you want, from after that, we go on TV between 1 and 2:30 thereabouts. And then that's when now you're going to see. So as someone may tune in the afternoon and say, I didn't see my representative. That's because in the morning they may have spelled and didn't make it into the afternoon session. So in the afternoon we'll be spelling interspersed with goodwill messages, but basically at the end of the day we will have winners, and we will have those who will come back because they want to win again.
Fantastic.
Yes. So it will be on City TV from the afternoon. From the morning is on.
It's like the AFCON, only it's
You
one
see,
day.
yeah, just one day.
Do the group
So you have group stage, round of 16, quarterfinal.
Yes, in one day. And that's why I keep saying that we underestimate the capabilities of our children, the pressure they go through, but are resilient and will come back and will wake up tomorrow morning bouncy and ready to go on.
It's true.
It's admirable.
It really is. Thank you so much, Eugenia. Thank you, Nite.
Thank
you,
You're welcome.
Always great to see all of you, and all the best for tomorrow. And a very happy birthday to you, my dear. In advance. Tomorrow is Eugenia's birthday. I know she won't say that, so I'll say that for her.
If I may, today is my son's birthday.
Oh, and tomorrow is my son's birthday. So it's the whole birthday. Nite, don't you have somebody who's having a birthday tomorrow?
I'm working on it.
So Pakwesi Achezafo, I wish you a happy 4th. May the Lord guide your steps.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, boy.
Fancy.
Thank you.
And again, Eugenia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to my Kobe, my second born. Tomorrow is also his birthday.
We should have a party.
We should. Yeah. After the beat.
After
all the
after the bee, not before.
All right, so tune in tomorrow. The Spelling Bee, the finals will be on City TV and on our City TV Facebook page as well. So you can tune in and catch all the action. It's going to be very exciting, trust me. Okay, we'll take a break.